want to start today with something that does not get said enough about menopause. Everyone talks about the physical side, hot flushes, sleep disruption, brain fog, and yes, all of that is real and all of that matters. But there is another side that barely gets mentioned. What menopause does to how you feel about yourself, what it does to your patience, your reactions, and your capacity, what it does to your sense of who you are. And because that part rarely gets discussed, you can end up going through what is genuinely one of the most significant hormonal and neurological transitions of your life, and wondering if you are simply losing your mind, wondering if you are too emotional, too reactive, too much. I want to talk today about what is actually happening. Not to tell you that it is all fine and you just need to push through, but because understanding what is driving how you feel is the beginning of something changing. My name is Clare Deacon. I'm a positive psychology and nervous system expert. This is the Happya Life podcast. And this episode is for every woman who has looked at their own reactions lately and not quite recognized herself. There is a very specific kind of shame that comes with this. You used to cope. You know you used to cope, you handled things, you were the steady one, the calm one, or at least competent enough not to fall apart over the small things. And now you're snapping at the people who you love over things that would have not even touched the sides before. You are going from calm to overwhelmed faster than you can. You are crying at things that feel disproportionate to the moment, and then feeling embarrassed about it, and then feeling angry at yourself for the embarrassment. And underneath all of it is this quiet, frightening thought: what is happening to me? Notice what that feels like in your body right now, just hearing those words. That tightening or that recognition. That is the experience I am talking about. And I want you to know it is one of the most common things I hear from women in perimenopause. You are not too much. You are not losing your mind. Your nervous system has been under a specific kind of sustained pressure that most people, including most healthcare professionals, significantly underestimate. Let me tell you what is going on neurologically without making this into a biology lecture. Estrogen is not just a reproductive hormone. It plays a direct role in regulating your nervous system. It influences serotonin and dopamine, the chemicals involved in mood, motivation, and your sense of well-being. It helps moderate your stress response. It is involved in how your brain processes emotional information. When estrogen levels begin to shift, as they do during perimenopause and menopause, you are not just experiencing a change in your body, you are experiencing a change in how your brain and nervous system function. Your emotional thermostat, the internal system that regulates how quickly you move from calm to activated, becomes less reliable. This is not a personality change. This is a neurological shift. But here is the part I want you to sit with for a moment, because I think it goes deeper than most people acknowledge. Menopause does not just change how you feel, it changes how you feel about yourself. The version of you that was patient, capable of absorbing a lot, willing to take on more than her share, she was partly built on a nervous system that could manage that level of output. And when the nervous system changes, when its capacity to absorb and regulate shifts, the things you were absorbing start to push back. The small irritations that used to roll off you now land differently. The demands that you used to meet automatically now feel like they cost something. The needs of others that you used to prioritize without question now produce a kind of resistance you've not felt before. And because that resistance feels unfamiliar, because it does not match the version of yourself you have been presenting to the world, you tell yourself something is wrong with you. What if it is not wrong? What if your system is changing what it is willing to absorb? And the resistance you feel is actually information. I work with women going through menopause, and what I see underneath the emotional dysregulation and the physical symptoms is almost always an identity question. Not just what is happening to me, but who am I becoming? Because menopause arrives at a point in many women's lives when a lot of other things are also shifting. Children are growing up and leaving, careers are changing, relationships are evolving. The life they built in their 30s and early 40s is transforming around them. And menopause, with its neurological and hormonal shift, arrives into all of that and essentially asks, the way you have been operating until now, the level of output, the relentless giving, the putting yourself last, can you sustain that? Do you even want to? The answer for many women is quietly no. But because that feels like a loss rather than a development, because it does not match what is expected of you, you experience it as something being wrong rather than something being real. Here is what I want to offer you instead. The changes you are experiencing in your tolerance, your patience, your reactions, they are not problems to manage. They are signals to listen to. Your system is telling you something about what it needs, what it can no longer carry, and what it's asking you to change. And if that feels impossible right now, because the people who need things from you have not changed, because the demands of your life have not paused to allow you a neurological transition, I hear that, I really do. But pretending the signals are not there does not make them quieter. It actually quite often makes them louder. A lot of women I speak to have been told by doctors, by partners, and by themselves it's just hormones. And yes, hormones are involved, but just hormones dismisses what is actually happening. It treats the experience as temporary noise rather than meaningful signal. The cost of explaining it away is significant because when you dismiss the emotional changes as just hormones, you also dismiss the identity question underneath them. You carry on with a version of yourself that your system is trying to move on from. You keep absorbing what you have always absorbed. You keep giving what you have always given. And the gap between who you are becoming and who you are still trying to be grows wider. And the dysregulation grows louder until it's very hard to ignore. It's a part of you is thinking right now, I have been telling myself it's just hormones for a long time. I want you to know that you are not alone in that. And I want you to ask yourself gently, what might shift if you took the signals seriously? When you understand that your emotional experience during menopause is neurological, not a character defect, something important shifts. You stop fighting yourself quite so hard. The energy you were spending on shame and self criticism becomes available for something else. When you understand that your lower tolerance is information, not a problem, you can start to look at what it's pointing to. What is it that your system is no longer willing to absorb? What needs to change? And when you understand that this transition is an identity shift as well as a hormonal one, you stop trying to get back to who you were and start asking, who am I becoming and what does she need? That is a different question entirely, and it is a much more useful one. If this has landed somewhere real for you today, I am glad you listened. And if you are in the middle of all of this, the dysregulation, the identity question, the not quite recognizing yourself, I want to say clearly, you do not have to figure this out alone. A cuppa and a chat is a free conversation with me. No pressure, no agenda, just a chance to talk honestly about where you are and whether working together might help. You can book at happyacoach.com/chat. The Happya Life podcast is here every Wednesday, and I will see you next week.